Good morning and namaste and welcome, beautiful women, to my third or fourth transmission in this series about the Living Shakti Awake, bringing Tantra to life program that I am offering this year, 2022, for all you beautiful women out there who are called to deepen in your embodiment of the divine feminine and really show up in the world as her, flowing in union with her and evolving higher and deeper continuously on your journey of awakening. So I don't know what's happened to my voice, but it's gone really low today, this morning. Last night I held the introductory evening, the introductory evolutionary sister circle, and it was so beautiful to be gathered with a group of women called to this work. So good morning and welcome. Today's live is about divine gifts, your divine gifts. What you are called to embody and express into the world at this time of global awakening. And in that term, divine gifts, it's encompassing every aspect of your soul's truest expression. So this might be something that comes through for you to express professionally in sacred service. But it could also mean simply the gifts that you are divinely given to show up with that are fulfilling to you as an expression of your essence. And that this is not about an equation of if I do this, then I get that, It's simply about your true soul essence shining through. So divine gifts is the third workshop in the series of the Living Shakti Awake program for this year, and the final workshop in the first semester. So the semesters are 3 months long. The first semester, me and God, Goddess as one, we have already journeyed through embodying Shakti, the Kundalini Shakti, the awakening force of the Divine Mother, the gifts of the Divine Feminine. The second phase, the second workshop, sacred wounds and sexy shadows. And then we come to this third part of this first semester, your divine gifts, which of course are born out of the embodiment of Shakti and exploring your sacred wounds and sexy shadows, because your divine gifts are directly correlated to those two things. So when you step onto the awakening path, when you begin to embody Shakti, when you begin to connect with your divine feminine and the awakening current of Kundalini Shakti, you begin to change and evolve. And this is an ongoing process, a spiral process. So embodying Shakti, you're going to be changing, you're going to be evolving. And guess what? What happens within that process is everything that is not true begins to fall away. And what is left is what is true. So only truth remains. What is not true falls away. What remains is what is true. Right? That's the process of sexual and spiritual awakening as woman. What remains includes your soul essence, your very unique and individual soul signature. No other time in history, no other human being is going to have that unique signature, that drop of divine essence that you come incarnated with, that is unique to you. That remains. When all of the layers of programming and conditioning fall away, your soul essence remains. And with that, your soul gifts remain And you're born with these seeds of soul essence, these seeds of soul gift. If you believe in karma, then that is part of your karma and your dharma, right? So on this path, we're born with karma, which is the inherited ancestral conditionings and programmings and wounds and traumas. But in the path of awakening, we get to transmute and transform these and loosen the binds that have tied us perhaps for centuries to begin to step into and walk the path of Dharma. I'll speak about that more in the next live when I speak of sacred service. But part of your sacred service to the world is to begin to embody your soul essence and your soul gifts, your divine gifts, right? That you're born to inherit, and they are seeds. And depending upon the choices that you make, those seeds are going to blossom, or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll begin to grow, but they'll never really get to their fullest potential. Depends how much you're ready to water those seeds, to give them energy, to give them your time and attention, right? They may bloom into their fullest. Maybe they'll only get halfway. Maybe they'll wither and die. And maybe then, you're going to reincarnate another time around to have another go, right? But what I'm here to tell you is that the world needs your soul essence. The world needs your soul gifts, your divine gifts. You are no less and no more than any other human being on this planet. We all have our unique divine gifts, each and every one of us. And when I speak to that, I want you to let go of this old paradigm idea that it has to look a certain way, that it is defined by the old paradigm notion of success, which is very much, in the old paradigm about worldly success, about having material things, about being rich, about looking a certain way. In the new paradigm that we are here to embody and really ground into being, those things are irrelevant, meaningless. Okay? So your divine gifts, everyone has them, we are all equal in them, and the world needs you to step up and shine. Those divine gifts are directly related, as I spoke about yesterday, to your sacred wounds and sexy shadows, directly related to your dark nights of the soul, directly related. Two sides of the same coin. You'll have heard the expression of no mud, no lotus. So the lotus grows, the most beautiful plant and flower, right? It grows out of the deepest, darkest mud. Divine gifts arise from that. Let's talk about the paradigms for a moment, right? So, old paradigm, the paradigm that you can see crumbling before your very eyes, privileges the mind, discards the body, the heart, the emotions, the sexuality, the intuition, the desire, the mystical, the magical, right? So basically, old paradigm privileges mind over everything else, the logical, the rational, the reasonable, the sensible, the masculine. One small version of the masculine, an immature version of the masculine, an unconscious version of the masculine is privileged in the old paradigm. And so that has had us for centuries being slaves in a system, doing work in exchange for money, doing jobs we don't love, resenting that to survive. We do what is logical, we do what is sensible, we plan everything in advance. We do things that are going to make the most money, but our soul has not been included in that equation. We actually kill off our soul, we crush our soul, we deny our soul's longings, we suppress our heart's desires. We suppress and have been suppressing the feminine for centuries. In the new paradigm, this is changed. This is completely different. In the new paradigm, our divine gifts are central to our being and showing up in the world. We don't make it part of an equation of exchange. We don't make it part of a paradigm of, look what I've got and therefore I'm successful. In the new paradigm, it is about joy, it is about love, it is about unity, it is about peace, it is about harmony, it is about magic, it is about creativity, it is about soul's expression, it is about consciousness, it is about freedom. This is the new paradigm we are here to embody and live. And this can only come about fully when we all begin to own and claim and nurture our divine gifts. Whether they are part, as I've said, of your sacred service into the world, or simply a part of your divine expression as a soul being, through art, through music, through food, through creating community, through nurturing the planet, through building businesses, through composing, through writing, through physical fitness, through medical and herbal knowledge. We all have come with unique divine gifts, and these gifts are magnified when we grow in these gifts and nurture them as part of a soul-led community. Because each of us has a particular talent, particular gifts that are going to serve the whole by being fully self-expressed in us. So we get the pleasure and the joy and the reward and the self-fulfillment of expressing and doing and being who we really are and what we really love. And in being so lit up, we serve the whole. And then, there are these beautiful soul sisters and brothers who are lighting up the life. This is heaven on earth. Heaven on earth, right? Let me talk a little bit about self-doubt, obfuscation, and the demeaning that has been a part of our programming and conditioning for so long, particularly the demeaning and the obfuscation of the gifts of the divine feminine and of womanhood. So your divine gifts, woman, they come when you're willing, finally, to change and leave behind and transmute this very ancient and very deep programming that tells you you are not good enough, that tells you you're not ready, that tells you everybody else is better than you are, that makes you constantly question and doubt yourself. Am I good enough? Have I done it right? Okay, this is part of the conditioning that is designed to keep you disempowered. What the world needs is you in your power, in your authority, in your inner authority, and in your soul shine, in your full expression of your divine gifts. The conditioning that has been a part of society and culture for aeons is designed to create the opposite of that. But guess what happens when you choose to step into your divine gifts? Heaven on earth is created. You are happy, you are joyful, you are free, you are liberated, you are no longer a slave. The world needs you in that emanation. These gifts of the feminine, these gifts of womanhood, they are not of the mind, they are of the body. They are of the mystery. They are of the evolutionary spiral of woman as one with nature, of the rising and falling, the ascending and descending of Kundalini Shakti within our bodies, hearts, minds, and energy fields. These gifts are born of that process. They cannot be known or thought or planned logically and strategically. They do not come from this realm. They require our surrender open. They require our letting go. They require our opening to the unknown. They require our fully loving and inhabiting our physical bodies. They require the opening of our energy bodies. They require the flow of Kundalini Shakti through our energy field. Right? The mystery, the unknown, the completely illogical. This is where these divine gifts arise from, to heal, to love, to initiate, to channel, to know, to transmute, to speak in light language, to transmit healing energy, to transmit divine wisdom. These gifts do not come from the logical, rational mind and the structures of the ego conditioned for centuries by the patriarchal programming. We are cosmic beings. We are interdimensional cosmic beings. There is so much more to us than we have been led to believe. The awakening Shakti path is about our expansion into the remembrance of this. So on the one hand, there is a potential within you. There are gifts within you that you cannot even imagine right now. When I stepped onto this path myself, every workshop I went to, every meditation I did, every practice was a revealing to me of a mystery I had no concept of. No idea, no concept of the orgasmic ecstasy available to me in my body beyond anything I'd ever seen or read about or heard about. No idea of the expanded realms of consciousness available to me. No idea of the divine gifts accessible and available when I surrender up my ego and let go and allow Shakti to move through me. No idea of light language. No idea that it's possible to somatically feel what others are feeling in my body and their body. No idea that I can just let go and allow Goddess to speak through me and that that's a thing. No idea that there are divine Goddess deities and archetypes who wish to come through, speak and move in my body and yours. No idea this is even possible. And so much more beyond that. So on one level, this takes your trust, it takes your faith, right? To step in and trust that your divine gifts are going to unfold without a doubt. But it's not something you can control. It's not something you can logically know and plan for in advance. It's not a goal you can have and get to. It requires your trust, your faith, your letting go into something much bigger than you are, right? So on one hand, you can't possibly imagine this. Your trust is required, your surrender is required, your devotion is required. And on the other hand, you do know this. You do know. You feel it somewhere deep inside when you stop, when you're still, when you meditate, when you allow yourself to really feel and you listen to that voice, however quiet, however hidden, you know this is the truth. You know this is possible. You know this seed is within you and each and every one of us. You know that. And you have a calling in your soul, in your heart, in your womb. You have a calling. You know that. You feel that somewhere. It may be very buried and hidden, or it may already be fully expressing itself, and you know you're with it. You know you're on that ignited path of living Shakti awake in the world. But that is there. That seed is there. Let me give you some examples from my own journey and my experience of teaching and holding space for women for 18 years. When I stepped onto this path, I was in the middle of a PhD in social anthropology at SOAS, University of London. I was intending to be a university lecturer in social anthropology with a focus on gender and the media and conflict. That was my intention at the time. I moved to America, and for a short while I couldn't work, so I was looking for things to do in my time. I've always loved to dance, always loved to dance. Dance is my heaven, my passion, my innate, one of my divine gifts is dance. I saw a sign on a lamppost for a dance class called the Nia technique. It spoke about being a blend of different dance modalities, different healing arts modalities, different mind-body techniques and martial arts. And it spoke of great soulful music. And instantly I felt I have to go to this. I went to my first class, and instantly in that one class I knew I want to teach this. It was not a logical decision. It was not some kind of planned out formulaic, well, if I take this teaching qualification, it will cost this much money, and then I'll be able to teach this many classes and make that much money, and then I can become a teacher trainer further down the line. You know, there was no plan to it. It was simply an embodied soul response. This is what I have to do. And that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. That. From there, from that first teacher training, 2 more teacher trainings in that same modality, opening me wide and deep into the realm of embodied consciousness, energy, manifestation, music, leadership, facilitation, cosmic downloads, right? From there, it just kept on unfolding. Kundalini yoga, Reiki healing, body work, Tantra. Every single time there was a spark of soul's recognition. In my first Tantra workshop, I'm home. This is what my soul is called to. No plan, no logic, just a knowing this is what I must do. Magically, every single time I followed that impulse, the universe supported me. I was a single mum with very little money, nobody else to support me apart from me. It didn't make logical sense because it meant I wasn't really earning very much money at all, you know. But each time I took that step, that leap of faith, somehow I was supported. Every single time. That's how I got to where I am now, by taking those steps of faith. The universe has always supported me every single time. And every time I followed that impulse in my soul, I blossomed into who I am here to be, more and more and more and more. And there were times when I felt that calling and I didn't follow it, and I regret that. Because I know that that was a true impulse. Those are the only regrets I have. The only regrets I have in life are not following when my soul gave me an impulse and I didn't listen. But every time I followed, I learned more, I expanded more, my pleasure went through the roof, my wisdom expanded and deepened, I evolved, I began to shine more, I began to have more power in my facilitation. Every single time I became more of who I'm here to be, letting go more and more of who and what I am not. This is not something unique and special about me. You have exactly the same potential within you. Each and every single one of us does. And that is what the goddess is saying to you, calling to you. Come, sister, come. The planet, humanity, needs you shining your divine gifts now. It's not the logical thing. It's not the sensible thing. It's the thing that brings you joy. It's the thing that you love. It's the thing that lights you up. It's the moment that stirs your soul. It's what is easy not what is difficult. Okay? The whole paradigm is flipped. I want to give you an example of a beautiful woman who took my Awakening Shakti course 3 years ago now. Chris, if you're watching, I always love to use this example about you. Chris came into that Awakening Shakti 9-month program, an incredible woman already feeling her spiritual calling, no idea about Shakti really, but just knowing she had that calling and that she was called to work with me. We met at a solstice ceremony not far from Glastonbury, and we stood next to each other and held hands in that circle, and in that moment she knew she wanted to work with me. She hadn't met me, she hadn't asked me any questions about my background or my qualifications or anything like that, but she trusted that impulse. Chris went on to take that 9-month journey with me and a group of other women, and in that time, within a month or two, she was speaking light language. She didn't even know that was possible. Now she's just fluently speaking light language all the time as part of her being and her soul's expression and her divine gifts into the world. She left her partner in a dysfunctional, semi-abusive relationship and moved out. She began to write a book for children, speaking about the power of witch consciousnness, right? So this is part of her divine gift, to write, to align with her lineage as the sacred witch, with the power to heal, with the connection to nature, with the connection to herbs and essences, to connect with magical beings. This is part of her divine gift. All of this was unlocked when she began to tap into the power of Shakti. And of course, there's no end to this. It keeps unfolding. I want to give you another example, a beautiful friend of mine who many of you watching this will know, Bayari. Beautiful Bayari, one of my divine soul sisters. We've been journeying in parallel for many years. When I first met Bayari, she was working in a cheese shop in Leadenhall Market in central London, serving cheese and wine to kind of executives who worked in the city. Before that, she'd worked in marketing. She has a degree in philosophy and English, I think. And I've watched Bayari's awakening path in her own devotion to Tantra and the divine feminine. And as she has blossomed, all of these divine gifts have come online for Bayari in terms of alchemy, working magically with lotions and potions, with plant essences, with crystals, with reading cards as an oracle, and becoming a channel for the angelic realms and the angelic beings. These gifts have all unlocked for her. They don't make sense. They weren't part of a plan. They weren't part of a logical thought. If I do this, then I'm going to get this. But the more Bayari steps into those divine gifts that she was born with, the seeds of those gifts, she is enriching so many people's lives with her healing gifts and her magical alchemy. So as she steps into that, the whole of her community, her friends, her family, her clients are receiving those blessings. This is the creation of heaven on earth. And you have your own divine gifts too. Yes. One more thing I want to say is quite a few of the clients and women I'm engaging with recently, for them it is meant to leave their secure 9-to-5 jobs and to completely change how they're showing up in the world, the sacred service they're offered to bring. And that's the theme actually for tomorrow's live sacred service, which is at 9, not 10 o'clock, by the way. So it's not the safe path. It's not the secure path. It's not the logical path. It's not the rational mind path. But it is the path of the soul. It is the path the divine feminine is calling you to. And in that trusting and in that letting go, you are held. You will be shown. It will be revealed. And in trusting that, you yourself are so fulfilled more than you ever could be. Basically, you know you're on the path because you feel fulfilled. And you are blessing everybody in the world, and you are being a part of creating the new earth. So come. I really feel like I've been guided to speak this message, to invoke and to call every woman to step up now and shine in her divine gifts. We need you. That's the end of my transmission today. The Living Shakti Awake program starts soon. It's got 2 pathways. The Evolutionary Sister Circle, which starts next Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock, the 12th of January. And the Living Shakti Awake workshop series. And what I've been talking about today is the theme for the 3rd workshop, your divine gifts. You can enroll for this program in the strand of the Evolutionary Sister Circle, in the strand of the workshop series, or both. And you can enroll by 3-month semester or for the whole year. I'm going to put the information below, and if you've got any questions, you want to find out more, please be in touch. We've got a week until the Sister Circle starts, and you are warmly welcome. Take a look at the webpage and see how that feels in your heart. And if you'd like to speak to me, you can. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.